have it in stock. 3 bottles. Mm-hmm. Anything else? All right, Miss Henry, thank you.
Hey, how about a little service?
Cousin Stanley.
Hiya, Grandpa. Good to see you.
Cousin Stanley.
Hiya, Carl.
What are you doing in town?
Well, I had to check with the guy over in Royaltown, so I thought I'd drop in and say hello.
Good to see you. You going to be here long?
Oh, that all depends on you, Carl.
Me? What's it all about?
I got a big deal cooking, Carl.
Oh.
Now, wait a minute. This is a sure thing, Carl, a sure thing.
Oh, Stanley, not another deal.
But look, this is different. Now, there's some guy over in Royaltown has got a batch of this special plastic material, and he's got to sell it to raise some quick cash. Oh. Now, I can buy it for $1,500, and I can sell the stuff like that. Carl, old boy, we stand to make a handsome profit.
We, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to let you in on the deal.
Well, if it's such a sure thing, Stanley, why do you let anybody in on it?
I'm coming to that, Carl. You see, this is a matter of time and available cash.
Well, I don't have much of either. I'm sorry.
But you can't afford to pass this up. All you've got to put up is $7.50.
$7.50. That's just about my stop. Now, if Carl doesn't want to go in on this, I'll be
no,
glad.
Grandpa. I mean $750.
Oh.
Now, look, Carl, this is on the level. Why, if I had the time, I could raise all the money I want. But I've got to close with this guy in Royaltown by noon. Now, I've got $750 of my own, and...
You want me to put up the other $750?
Well, you've done me a lot of favors, so I figured it was high time that I did something for you. Now, look, Carl, this is something that comes along but once in a lifetime. And if I can buy this material, well, I'm a cinch to sell it for a big profit.
It sounds awfully good.
How do you know that somebody's going to buy it?
Why, I'll get rid of it within a week. And furthermore, I won't take a penny less than $2,500.
$500 profit apiece, huh?
That's right. Who can afford to pass it up?
Stanley, I don't see how...
Look, just leave it to me. Why, this is right up my alley. As a matter of fact, I got buyers waiting for it right now.
Well, all right. It sounds interesting. Why don't you come out to dinner and we'll talk about it?
Uh-huh. That's an invitation you don't have to extend twice.
I'll call Anna.
Good. Bye.
Mom, I'm starved.
I am too, Freddie. Where in the world can they be? Freddie, you'll spoil your supper.
Oh, Mom, I'm hungry. Can't I have something to eat?
Well, here, take a small glass of milk. Oh, if those men don't hurry, my supper will be spoiled. They left the store almost an hour ago. There they are now.
Good service you're getting, Stanley.
Cousin Stanley!
Well, how's our boy?
Hi, Cousin Stanley.
Anna, say you're getting younger every day.
What happened? Where have you been?
Blamed old car stalled again.
What we really need is a new one.
You said it, but don't worry about a thing. Cousin Stanley will have the down payment for you by the end of the week.
Well, really?
So soon?
What are you talking about?
Oh, something I ran onto. And if Carl goes in with me, say you'll be in a new car before you know it.
Oh, that's wonderful,
Now,
Stanley.
Anna, there's no new car yet.
Yeah, but there will be.
Well, come on now. Supper's been ready for over an hour. Go upstairs and more shopping.
Supper. Boy, am I hungry.
Come on, Freddie.
I've already won.
Oh?
Let's see.
Mm-hmm. Come on, boy.
Long distance? Get me Mr. Myers at the Chicago Plastics Limited. Yeah, that's right, in Chicago. Party to party. Stanley Fisher, Middleburg, 3249. Myers is an old friend of mine. Matter of fact, one of my biggest buyers. Watch, I'll show you how I operate. Hello, Mr. Myers. This is Stanley Fisher. Yeah, fine. How are you? Say, I got a terrific deal for you. How would you like a quick delivery on 300 sheets of special plastic sheeting? Sure, I know, but this is something you can't afford to pass up. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bring you a sample and, Yes, I understand. Well, I'll be over there as soon as possible. Goodbye, Mr. Myers. Well, it's in the bag. He wants to see a sample immediately.
You think he's really interested?
Interested? Say, if I'm not over there with a sample within 48 hours, I bet he's out looking all over for me.
Why didn't you discuss prices with him?
Listen, I didn't want to talk that over the phone. I want to wait till I saw him in person. I don't want to have him think that I'm anxious. You know, you got to play these things smart.
Then he definitely wants this stuff?
Wants it? Ha ha. Say his tongue's hanging out for it.
All I can say is you're certainly a fast worker.
Well, it's just a little luck and the case of being in the right place at the right time, plus a smart business eye.
Who is this man you're buying the stuff from in Royaltown?
Oh, some fella named John Lee. Do you know him? Well, he's a small operator, just bit off more than he could chew. Say, that reminds me, I gotta close the deal with him by noon tomorrow.
You mean you want my check right now?
No, not yet. Let's see if I can't save us a few $100s. Long distance? I want Royalton, 6823. Mr. Stanley Fisher calling Mr. Lee. Yes, operator, I'm ready. Hello, Mr. Lee. Stanley Fisher talking. Well, you know about that plastic material you want to dispose of. Well, of course you know that's very hard to get rid of at this time of year. So, taking everything into consideration, I figured that $1,250 would be about right, and, What? What? Oh, won't take less than $1,500, huh? Okay, yes. I'll be over with a certified check in the morning. Goodbye, Mr. Lee.
Or you didn't fall for it, huh?
Well, it was worth a try. Anyway, it's still a terrific bargain, Carl. You never made an easier $500 in your life.
All right, I'll give you a check right after dinner.
Dinner? Say, that reminds me, I'm hungry. How about a sandwich, Grandpa?
Well, of course. Come on, I'll give it to you.
It's a deal. Here it is, all signed and sealed. Now we own the stuff.
Well. I just hope your man in Chicago doesn't change his mind.
Don't worry about that. I don't have to depend on him.
Oh, excuse me.
That's all right. I gotta make a phone call anyway. Long distance? I want Kansas City, Lucas, 1179. Yeah, Stanley Fisher calling Mr. Litton. That's right. Hello, Mr. Litton. Stanley Fisher. Yes. How are you? Oh, that's good. How's the family? Fine. How's your golf game? Is that so? Say, Mr. Litton, I got a terrific deal for you. Yeah. 300 sheets of number 4 plastic sheeting, and I can let you have it for... Oh, I see. But I could give you a good price on it. Well, fine. Well, you let me know when. Well, he wants it too, but he likes to haggle a little. I'll keep it another 24 hours, and then it'll cost him another $500. Long distance. I want St. Louis, Mohawk 7379. Mr. Stanley Fisher calling Mr. Henry Bedlow.
Stanley, if you already have 2 buyers, why do you need to
Now,
call...
don't you see? I want them bidding against each other. Just you leave this to your cousin Stanley. And don't worry about the long-distance charges.
Well,
Hello, Mr. Bedlow. Well, this is Stanley Fisher. Fine, how are you? Say, I got a terrific deal for you on some plastic. Oh, you said it. 300 sheets of number 4 plastic sheeting. I can let you have it for... let me see.
Well, that's my choice. Look at that station wagon. How about that, Dad?
Ooh, yes.
Anna?
Carl, even with the $500 you say we're going to get, can we afford a new car?
Of course we can. They made me a very good offer on the old one, in spite of its condition. With all we saved up toward the new one, we can manage.
Well, shouldn't we have heard from Stanley by now?
I'll be taking longer than he figured. You know how those deals are.
Carl, are you sure Stanley knows what he's doing?
Of course.
Well, in that case, I think we should have the sedan. This one. The blue and gray combination with the nylon upholstery.
What about the station wagon?
All right, Carl, if it looks just like the sedan.
How can a station wagon look like a sedan?
Carl, you might just as well give up.
Someday I'll win.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
Oh. I thought you said you was only going to be gone a half an hour.
That blame car again. So, I called Mac, told him to come and get it.
You bought the new one?
Yep.
Well, let's see it.
Now, wait a minute. It's not here yet. It'll take a couple of days to deliver Anna's color. All that blue and gray, nylon, and so forth. So they loaned me one to drive.
I never thought that Cousin Stanley would be helping us to buy a new car.
Neither did I.
Fine, isn't it?
Carl, will you please make out a check for this bill?
All right.
Dear, I wonder why we haven't heard from Stanley since he went to Chicago.
Maybe you ran into a snag. Carl, when did you say you were getting delivery on the new car?
By the end of the week, why?
Well, what do you do if Stanley hasn't closed the deal by then?
Yes, dear, what do you do?
Now, let's not all get panicky. I'm sure everything's all right.
Are you?
Well, certainly, dear, of course.
Look at this great picture of a chassis, Mom.
Well, I'm not interested in that. I want to show Cousin Stanley the car I like.
Oh, I'll find it for you. Here it
There
is.
it is. Oh, Stanley, isn't that beautiful?
It certainly is beautiful. Hey, shh.
Hello, dear.
Hi, Carl.
Well, Stanley, when did you get back?
Oh, a few minutes ago.
Anna, what are you all dressed up for? Is this a mealtime strike?
That's right.
This is one supper Anna's not cooking. This is on me.
Carl, Stanley sold the plastics.
Really?
Yeah. Here you are, Carl. You're $750 plus $500.
$1,250.
Well, this is something. Hmm?
Oh, it's nothing. Just a matter of knowing what you're doing.
Isn't it wonderful, Carl?
Sure is, dear. Thanks to Stanley, we're buying a new car.
Yeah, so Anna says.
When are we getting it?
Well, we have to wait so as to get your mother's South Pacific blue and Fleeting Dove gray or whatever it is.
Come on, men, get on your hats and let's go celebrating. Anna will have a real meal tonight.
Oh, well, I like that.
Oh, I'm kidding. You're the best cook in the whole world.
Of course. Come on.
Here you are, dear.
Thank you.
Stanley certainly seems to be enjoying his stay with us.
Well, that extra money rattling around in his pocket makes him feel good.
Do you really think the new car will be here by Friday?
That's what they promised.
Hello, folks.
Oh, Grandpa.
Oh, you're just in time. I'll pour you some cocoa.
Thanks, Anna.
Here. By me.
Thank you, Carl.
What's the matter? You look a little depressed. Gus beat you at chess?
No, I took care of him all right. But he told me something that I didn't like.
What about?
Well, he was telling me about a friend of his in Royaltown who's had a run of bad luck. It seems this friend had quite a large amount of plastic sheeting to be used in a small manufacturing business he'd just started. But he'd put nearly everything he had into this. But before he could get into production, he had to go to the hospital. It turned out to be quite a long siege, including an operation. So he was forced to sell everything he could. But it seems that nobody in Royaltown wanted that kind of material. As a matter of fact, he had to sell it for just about half what he paid for it. $1,500 to be exact. And the man's name is John Lee.
John Lee. Stanley must have known.
What if he did?
Well, if I'd known, I'd never have gone into the deal.
I don't see what you're worrying about. You didn't do anything dishonest.
I don't like the idea of taking advantage of a man when he's down and out.
But if Stanley hadn't bought his material, maybe this Mr. Lee wouldn't have sold it at all. At least this way, he's got some of his money back.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it at present, that's for sure. But I'd suggest that we take a little time and think it over.
I don't see what there is to think over.
I do. I'm going to stay up and talk to Stanley.
But, dear, he may be real late.
I don't care. I'm going to wait and talk to him. Hi, Stanley.
Hi, Carl. Now, what are you doing up?
Oh, I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, sure, Carl. Ah, boy, am I bushed. I must have covered 200 miles today.
Stanley, did you know that John Lee was in the hospital and had to sell that material to pay his bill?
Sure, what about it?
Why didn't you tell us?
Huh, what's the difference? You don't even know him.
It's kind of kicking a man when he's down, isn't it?
Kicking him? Are you kidding? I did him a favor. Took the stuff off his hands. Why, he was lucky to get the 1,500. What are you so worked up about?
I wish we'd known, that's all.
Look, Carl, business is business. So Lee was in trouble. That's got nothing to do with you or me, has it?
I wonder.
If we hadn't done it, someone else would.
That still doesn't make it right.
Carl, the guy was desperate. Just because he couldn't make a deal for himself is no concern of ours, is it? Carl, you've got to stop being so soft-hearted. Why, in my business, you wouldn't last a day. Well, I gotta get some shut-eye. See you in the morning. Say.
Yeah?
Do you suppose there's any cold chicken left in the icebox?
Oh, I guess you can find something, Stanley.
Carl, this just came in. You want to make it up?
Well, you do it, will you, Dad?
What's the matter, son?
Oh, you know what's the matter. I've ordered the new car, and now comes this mess with Stanley.
Well, I'm not so concerned about the car as I am about Mr. Lee.
According to Stanley, if we hadn't bought it, somebody else would have.
Next, you're going to say that it was legal. Oh, I know it was done innocently enough, Carl. And it is legal, all right. But does that make it right? You know that that isn't Christian honesty.
All I know, Dad, is that I can't buy the car without the $500, and the family is counting on it.
More than they're counting on you to do the right thing.
Oh, Dad. You're always the voice of my conscience, aren't you? Anna, you'll admit it's against our Christian idea of what's right, isn't it?
Well, maybe we're bending over backward in the way we're trying to apply that idea.
Maybe we're bending over backward the other way because of a new car.
So you're going to give back the $500?
Yes, dear, I think so.
What about Stanley,
I don't know. That's the next problem. Hi, Dad.
Oh, Carl. How'd you come out with the car?
Well, Mac is very nice about it. He just canceled the order.
So you're driving the old hack again, huh?
No, they were in the middle of repairing it, so I'll just be charged for the overhaul.
Well, you had to get it fixed anyhow.
What I'm worrying about now is how to convince Stanley that he should return his share.
I've been thinking about that. I have an idea. Wouldn't it be fair if Stanley kept 10% of the sales price as an agent commission for making the deal?
Say, that may be the answer.
In that way, Mr. Lee gets what he's honestly entitled to, and Stanley's paid the normal amount for his efforts.
Seems fair enough. Now all I have to do is convince Stanley.
Yes.
And since you sold the materials for $2,500, then you'd get $250 for your commission. Now, Stanley, you'll have to admit that's a pretty good return for such a short-time investment.
Carl, I think you're crazy. If it's legal, it's fair, isn't it?
Legal, fair, maybe. Is it honest?
Oh, quit quibbling. Legal, fair, honest. What's the difference? Doesn't it all mean the same?
No, not quite. Christian honesty goes much deeper. Stanley, I'm going to give my 500 back to Mr. Lee right now.
You're what? Now look, Carl. Is Lee kicking? No. Is the guy who bought the stuff kicking? No. Just you. And all because I made you an easy $500. Okay, Carl, okay. If the money's burning a hole in your pocket, then give it away. But don't expect me to be a dope.
All right, Stanley. Will you see that Mr. Lee gets this?
Let you try to talk some sense into your husband. He's way off base on this.
Carl knows what he's doing.
But he's crazy to give that money back. It's his. If I'd have known he was going to act like this, I'd never let him in on it. The way you people are acting, you'd think I was a crook.
Oh, of course not, Stanley. It's just that we have certain standards.
I'll say you have. And if Carl keeps on like this, you're a cinch to wind up broke.
No, Stanley. We'll be rich. Rich in the things that count.
You know, I'm beginning to think everybody in this house is nuts. Oh, say, what's for supper?
Roast.
Roast? Morning, Carl.
Oh, good morning, Stanley.
Carl, I haven't sent this check to Mr. Lee yet.
Why not?
Well, look, Carl, it just isn't fair. If you send your money and I don't send mine, it makes me look bad. You just can't do this.
If you're afraid of how it's going to make you look, you must be afraid I'm right.
The only thing I'm afraid of is that you've gone off your rocker. Carl, frankly, I just don't understand.
Stanley, as you know, in this house we try our best to do the Christian thing. It's not just a matter of living within the law, it's a matter of living with our conscience.
Conscience?
Yes, Stanley. And I guess our conscience has been made a little more sensitive by the teachings of the Savior. For us, it isn't enough to do the legal thing. We must be sure it's the right thing.
Sure, Carl, but in this case, you're carrying it too far.
Stanley, a thing is either right or wrong, according to the standards by which you're measuring it. If you're going by Christian standards, then some things that many people call right are wrong, such as taking advantage of a man when he's down and out, just because it's legal. In a case like this, I try to ask myself, what would Christ do? What do you think he'd do, Stanley? The answer is obvious, isn't it? I'm going to send this check to Mr. Lee right now.
Well, I guess poor Stanley was fit to be tied for a while. He just couldn't understand what had gotten into Carl. And when you come to think of it, it's hard to understand what's gotten into any man who really is a Christian. You see, once the man believes what the Bible tells us about our being sinners in God's sight and about Jesus dying for our sins so that we might be forgiven, he just naturally becomes a different kind of person. It's like the Savior says, he's born again. And a person that is born again is going to live by different standards. Christian standards. It just can't be any other way. maybe someday Cousin Stanley will see these things like Pal does. I surely hope so.